Hi, I'm Christy, and this is Today We Tried, a parenting podcast brought to you by Colugo, where we talk about big moments in parenthood and break them down to make them feel less daunting and more doable. I'm a mom of 3 and chief parent officer and general counsel at Colugo, and I'm super excited to be here today with special guest Allie Feller. Allie is a freelance writer and editor, blogger, and host of the Allie on the Run show podcast. And she's also a mom of 1, the very cute Annie. Allie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see your face.
I know, it's so fun. We've gotten to chat on the phone before. I mean, everything in your podcast and Instagram and everything, getting to chat on you, you're such a bright light. And I'm so excited to get to chat with you today and on a really awesome topic. So what we're talking about today is adopting a doing my best mindset as we're all parenting during COVID. So let's just jump into that. I would love to hear more about what that means for you. This is something you suggested, and I immediately was like, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, I had a revelation one day, and it took me 18 months of parenting to realize that it's okay to just do my best and not try to reach this standard of perfection that only I have created and that only I care about. So, it took a global pandemic for me to take a step back and say, I can only do so much. And this isn't our normal. And maybe it's going to be a new normal, but I had to adjust my way of thinking and certainly my way of parenting to accept that it's going to look a little different for a little while, maybe a long while, maybe forever. And that I need to be okay with that because no one else cares. It's just, I'm like that in every area of my life. I have these ridiculous standards that are impossible to measure and that I'll never live up to. It's like something my husband and I talk about all the time. He banned the word perfect from our house because I was using it too much. So,
So interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know when the exact moment was, but it was definitely within those first 2 weeks of us being quarantined and me completely freaking out because I work freelance. My husband owns an advertising and marketing agency. And so we're not essential workers. We are grateful for those people, and we are not in healthcare, and we are grateful for those people. We are just 2 people who don't have guaranteed incomes or anything to fall back on because we work for ourselves. And we have an 18-month-old who discovered stairs and thinks
Oh,
those
God.
are a fun toy. And so
Yeah.
but at the same time, she doesn't need to be homeschooled. We don't need to educate her. So we are in a super fortunate position in that primarily we're all healthy, but that's what it came back to is a shift in perspective of like, we're healthy, we're together. Why am I putting pressure on myself to like freak out over, oh my God, she didn't take her afternoon nap? Like we all know how frustrating it is when our kid doesn't take their afternoon nap.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, like
It's
then
so hard. And it's so hard not to take that personally as a parent, as a failing.
yes, like let me go back. Okay, let me make like a graph of the last 6 days. What did I do differently? Why did this happen? And like that's always been my thing. Her schedule very early on for me was a huge trigger in postpartum anxiety, which I don't feel anymore, which is good, but it still comes back to the schedule. And in quarantine, for people who are working from home, it's like I need that schedule because nap time is when we try to cram in as much work as possible. You know it
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Never been more efficient than in
Oh my gosh, the
that
amount
same
of
amount
stuff
of
that I
time.
can do.
Yeah.
So when that nap doesn't happen, it's so easy to freak out and be reactive. And that is my nature, is to say like, oh my God, she didn't take her nap. Like, what do I do? And totally stress. But it's like, okay, she didn't take her nap. I can't change that. So I didn't get my work done. I can either try to do it late after she goes to bed or it doesn't get done today. And I've never been okay with that in my whole life of the it doesn't get done today thing. And now I'm kind of just like, I'm doing my best. I'm doing what I can every day. And what I don't get to, like I said, I'm not essential and I'm not saving lives. So we're going to be okay.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that is like to be able to come into this moment of like extreme stress and change and to actually be like, okay, I'm going to take a step back and assess like what is worth it and not. It's great that you've been able to do that. And I would love to hear more specifically like what has helped you with that transition. So let's talk a little bit more about specifics and what's been working for you and what hasn't as you've kind of made this shift to adopting this new mindset. So I hear see the first thing you have here is waking up earlier than everyone else to get some stuff done.
And ironic that that is the first one that I was like, this is what I do, because this morning I all of a sudden was like in a dead sleep, and I roll over and I look at my clock and it was 7:03, and I was like, oh, my daughter's toy just turned on. She's not even in the room. Her little car is like playing music in the
Oh,
background.
I
So,
can't. That's great. This
great.
is like, I don't even hear it. I have all of those
Yeah, right.
toys everywhere. I'm
It
just
was-
like, it's always in the background of my.
I was working. It was playing for half an hour and I didn't notice. And finally, my mom was like, do you want me to turn that off? I was like, oh, I didn't notice. So, okay.
Yeah.
So this morning, I did not wake up early, and it started the day feeling very frazzled for me because I don't like to wake up with my daughter. I like to wake up before her. I'm not like, oh, I'll stay in bed until I hear her. I need my time first. And so I've been just getting up while everyone is still asleep and trying to do what I can. And that isn't like hardcore work usually. For me, that means getting the stuff out of the way. So it's brushing my teeth, going to the bathroom, changing my clothes, which again, today I was in my pajamas until right before we started talking at 2 p.m. But that's some days and that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's just getting up early and checking my emails and my social media and seeing if there's anything relatively urgent that I need to respond to, and kind of just knowing where things stand. So I know what I'm getting into for that day. I make my to-do list for the day the night before. So I have a plan and I have goals, but just having an hour before everyone wakes up is really nice and quiet. So that is my first tip, is get up a little earlier. That way you're not trying to scramble and like brush your teeth with your kids running around you, or like yelling at your partner because you really have to go to the bathroom and your partner's still asleep and can you get up and watch the kid kind of thing. So for me, that has been really helpful, both in terms of productivity and just getting my mind right when I wake up.
Yeah, because there isn't really any other time of the day when we're alone at this point. Like with the
No.
kids, you have that point, so that's a good way to start.
Right.
Okay, and the next thing here, making reasonable to-do lists every day. That's a good. So instead of the massive, like, okay,
Yes.
all of these things I can do, kind of paring that down to what is really the must-do thing.
Right. I used to have a to-do notebook, and I was just constantly adding, and it was just, I felt like I was never going to catch up. I was never, eventually things were on, 6 pages prior, and I just forgot about them. And so now what I do is I use graph paper. I love graph paper. And my list, I outline my little fitness related things first. So I try to do some push-ups and some glute bridges, go for a run, stretch, shower, and foam roll. Those are like my things. But then I create my top 7. And those are the 7 non-negotiables that I need to get done. Whether it's something with my podcast, it's recording, it's editing, it's sending a really crucial email. 7 things in my day. And I don't always get to all of them. But 7 to me is a reasonable number. And I put them in order of priority and in order of the time of day I'm going to do them. I try to knock out the things in the morning. That way they're not looming over me all day. And you kind of get to start your day feeling really accomplished. So I'm very into that. And then I have extra credit. I do extra credit on my to-do list because of course I do. And those are things that I also need to get to, but they're not in the top 7. I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't get to them, and they can just carry over to the next day.
Honestly, I love that. I loved school and I miss being in school and getting that sort. So maybe if I call things extra credit, give myself a gold star, I'll be more likely to get that done.
And then you highlight in different colors, and it's very satisfying.
Allie, this is really speaking to me.
Is this your love language?
Yeah, right now. I love that. And number 3 here is letting things get a little messy.
Yeah, I struggle with this. I'm not going to lie. But I am someone who has an 18-month-old and likes to try to keep her clean all day. And like, if she spills food on her shirt, I'm like, oh no. So, I mean, literal messes like that, like with food and with the toys being everywhere. Like, I try my best to clean up all the toys before we go to bed every night because it's just nicer that way. But half the time, I'm just like, nope. And in our normal routine, I was never like that. And this isn't normal. And so if it gets a little messy, if the house is a little messy, if the schedule is a little messy, if, you know, maybe we didn't get outside today, that's okay. And so I think messy is a word that can apply to a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
And again, work in progress. I still have that initial moment of freak out of like, this didn't happen and we planned for it, but just letting messes happen and not being so reactive to them.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I find myself like cleaning up when my kids are playing and I'm in my bestie basement right now. I find myself wanting to like clean up while they're playing because I'm just like I need a little and it's just gonna what I have found though is whatever I'm cleaning up will suddenly become the most interesting toy. And so my 1 year
Of
old will come
course.
over and be like, "Oh, let me dump that back out for you."
Of
Big
course.
twin. So, lesson learned. He taught me that pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm also
Um,
very into dishes right now. I used to put every single thing in the dishwasher. And for some reason, right now, I found a lot of satisfaction in standing at the sink and washing the dishes. And I also wonder if that's just my way of telling my husband, like, hey, I'm washing dishes, so you're in charge of the human. Like
yes,
you
yes.
do the parenting right now because I'm being, I'm doing stuff. And it's kind of meditative to stand at the sink and just clean a fork.
You know what? That is speaking my husband's love language. He is Ted loves to clean a dish. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you can't be expected to multitask when you're elbow deep in dish soap.
No, no, you're fully occupied. There's nothing else
Exactly.
to do. That's awesome. Okay, so those are awesome tips. Let's turn to some things you would recommend avoiding as we're all trying to adopt this doing our best mindset. First thing here, staying inside all day. Yeah, that I definitely can second that because when we stay inside all day, our whole family is just going nuts by like 4:30.
Yeah, and it's just like the fresh air, I need it and my daughter needs it. And I mean, my dog needs it, so we're forced to get outside at least
Yeah,
some
that's a good
point.
fourth thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but my daughter sleeps better and naps better and is happier, and she needs to be able to run around, and fortunately, we are in a place where we can do that. We're in the middle of
Mhm.
nowhere in New Hampshire, and so we're really lucky that we don't have to worry about being in a super crowded space or, debating whether she should be wearing a mask, which I know they've said kids under 2 don't have to, but I think there's still a part of me that's like, but if she's out, I wanna do everything I can to protect her and just all
Yeah.
those unknowns. So, yeah, getting outside, even if it's not nice out. Today it's been pouring all day, and I don't care. When we get off this call, I'm going for a run because I need it. And so, yeah, everyone needs the fresh air. I think I need it the most.
No, for sure. Okay, number 2 here is making a super structured schedule or plans.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah.
That I learned is setting myself up for failure, disappointment, and stress. And so it goes back to the schedule thing and the to-do list thing, that prioritizing and learning to roll with it. And if I, the queen of schedules and planning things to the minute, if I can at least a little bit learn to roll with it, I'm confident that anyone can. It's not easy. I won't pretend it's easy, and I'm not trying to be preachy about it, but I do think that right now, a loose schedule, especially for parents who have kids who are homeschooling. I mean, I can't speak to that, but I see the value in schedules. My daughter thrives on her schedule. She truly does. But it's more about me not beating myself up for one. And, you know, if she's not tired, I'm not going to like stick her in her crib and walk out and say bye. Like I'm, trying to be more responsive.
Well, and you just set yourself up and I sounds like you and I are similar. Like I love a schedule, especially with my twins when they were babies. I was just obsessed with the schedule because I was like, this is how we'll survive. But then I found myself adapting that same thing with our third. And it just sets you up to feel like a failure because things
Exactly.
are never going to go exactly as planned. And if you give yourself that grace of a looser schedule, then you can feel like you're succeeding instead of feeling like you're failing. And that's all just a mindset thing to your point.
Yeah, I remember I loved the Taking Cara Babies class and all of her blogs when I was very newly postpartum, and I learned a lot from her. And one of the things that she always says is, I think it's flexible routine, not rigid schedule.
Oh,
And
that's great. Yeah.
that's something that I'm using more now than I did in the newborn days. So
Yeah. That's good for everyone. Yeah. No matter what stage we're in, that's a good approach. And your third thing of something to avoid is neglecting your own needs. Yeah.
Yeah, I
A hard
certainly
one.
didn't invent this one, but yeah, I keep telling myself that I'm going to get up earlier to go for my run and get it done in the morning. And I just haven't been able to make that happen because, like I said earlier, I love diving into my work stuff and just the little needs before my daughter wakes up. But yeah, I haven't been doing a good job of this, to be honest. I've been spending every minute that I'm not with my daughter cramming in work, and I haven't really been. I mean, I go for my run, but that does sometimes feel like a task or a to do. And that I
Yeah,
feel like I don't just like sit and watch TV or read a book or color. Like, I really want to color. And I see all these people doing puzzles. And I'm like, when are you doing that
I
puzzle?
know.
And
I
where?
know.
On what surface do you have that is not either covered in things or that a little person can reach
Can
and
read
ruin?
somehow. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I envy the puzzle doers of the world right now, but I'm working on it. I told myself I would give myself a work curfew and that I would turn off work at 9 and then from 9 to 10 p.m. before I fall asleep, I would watch an episode of Ozark, which Ozark is not a relaxing bedtime show.
I have not watched that one.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't. No, I have nightmares every night. But
Oh,
I
well, okay, I
also
won't do that.
like and you can probably relate to this when you love what you do so much, you don't really want to stop. Like I get excited when it's time for me to sit down and do my work for lots of reasons, but I just love it. And so sometimes at 9, I'm like, well, I'm in the groove. I'm going to keep working. And then I go
Right.
right from working to falling asleep. And it feels like a grind, but that's okay. All that to say, I haven't touched my like toenails or my hair or, my eyebrows are really scary. Little self care things. I should do that more.
No, honestly, I washed my face last night and I was like, "Good job, Christy."
Yeah.
You're really
Basically went to the spa.
yeah, you're on it with the self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's also I feel like I need sleep right now. Like, it's like I can't if I can prioritize sleep as, like, self-care, that's kind of important for me right now instead of staying up an extra hour to do something else, like, to do a puzzle or to do something else to unwind. It's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to sleep," because that's, like, the best way I can set myself up
Yeah, I guess
for the next day.
unwinding is a good phrase. That's what I'm not doing. Like, I'm taking care of myself. I'm going for runs. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm like doing literally the bare minimum, but
Yeah.
it's good enough. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But unwinding, that's what I'm not doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to like vision board that word or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me know what you find. Not Ozark.
No, and everyone said they were like, you need a palate cleanser from Ozark. You need to watch Ozark, but then watch Parks and Rec or something before you fall
Oh, okay.
asleep.
Yeah. Parks
Uh,
and Rec, I can see.
Yeah, but Ozark, every episode ends on a cliffhanger. So you watch the next one and then you watch 6 and then it's the next day. And here I am. I wonder why I have bags under my eyes.
You look great. Great. Awesome. Well, Allie, this is super helpful. I love this. I'm going to try to adopt this mindset myself. So thank you so much. And we will be right back after this to answer a listener question. Hi, Christy here. I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about Colugo and specifically our Refreshed collection. So since the beginning of the pandemic, we've been getting more requests for flexible pricing, and we wanted to respond. Our Refreshed collection is made up of like-new Colugo products at unbeatable prices. This includes our on-the-go organizer, carrier, and compact stroller. These products are lightly used, but inspected and tested to look and work like new. We hope this helps to spread our mission of supporting all parents and building confidence for those who need it the most right now. Check out our Refreshed collection on our website, www.highcolugo.com. And now, back to the show. All right, I am now back with Allie, and we're going to answer a listener question that I would love to hear Allie's perspective on, given her love of running and movement generally. So the question is, I'm having trouble staying motivated to exercise right now. Do we have any advice on that? And we've talked about you have been making time to run. I don't know how it's felt for you during this time. I feel like I love running and I don't run for a long time, but it is the one time I'm out of my house and like away from my kids all day. So it's like that makes it a little easier to prioritize. And sometimes I walk and run and like it's not always like a hardcore exercise thing. Sometimes it's just getting air. But do you have any advice on this?
Yeah, I mean,
Care?
I think the biggest thing is give yourself some grace right now. If ever there was
Yeah.
a time to give yourself some grace, let it be now. If you're not feeling motivated, take a break. But if taking a break is making you feel horrible, and if you're beating yourself up for it, which I don't think you should do, but if you're spending an hour sitting on the couch telling yourself, I should go run, I should go run, I should go run, I know that I should run. Well, get out the door and try is what I would say. If you're
Yeah.
able to. If the issue is motivation, look, there's a lot of things that are going to hold us back from running right now, whether it's having to be there with your kids or work or whatever's going on. There's a lot of reasons that we can't get out and run. If you're able to, if you have the physical ability, if you have the resources to go for a run, I would say get dressed and go out the door and go for 10 minutes, whether it's running or walking. 10 minutes, move. If after 10 minutes you're like, this sucks, this is why I didn't want to get out the door, then go back home. All good.
Right.
And you can try again the next day. You might go out for 10 minutes and think, hey, this feels great. I'm going to pick up the pace, or this feels okay. I'd feel better walking. And you go for a walk. Whatever it is, I really think that now more than ever, movement, if you're in a place where it is safe and recommended to do so, movement will make you feel better, both physically and emotionally. I get a lot of clarity on the run. And so if you can, I say first, give yourself some grace. Maybe you need a break. Maybe you've been overtraining. Maybe you're hurting. And so I think you need to recognize that and tune into it. But if you feel generally good and you can go for a run, I would say get out the door and try. Put on your favorite podcast, put on your pump up jams, put on the Greatest Showman soundtrack. That can get me to like sprint for 10 minutes. Whatever it is that motivates you, just get out the door. It's a thing that's easy to overcomplicate, but
Yeah.
it is as simple as one foot in front of the other. And I do pretty much promise you are going to feel better after. Your body will feel good, sweat feels good, and I think you'll be really happy that you got out. And that is a feeling that's contagious. So the next day, when normally you'd be thinking, oh, I'm not motivated, you'll be able to remember that, well, yesterday you went and you felt so good after. So channel that feeling and let that motivate you. Don't look for outside motivation. Don't expect someone on Instagram to motivate you to get out and run. You have it within you. It's just a matter of channeling that and finding it. And you're doing great.
We've been having dance parties in my family at night where it's always Fight Song and Call Me Maybe are the songs that my 4-year-olds have like attached to. So we listen to those songs and we dance around, and that takes like 6 minutes, and so maybe that's like the movement in your day at first, and maybe you're like, okay, I want more of that or not. Or I've also been doing I always just wanted to run, but now I'm doing some like yoga and like some just stretching and strength stuff, which is new for me. So maybe it's also just like if there's so many awesome free classes right now you can like try one of. Maybe that's a way to make things a little bit more interesting. And if you can't leave the house easily or safely, like you can move that inside and still get some movement. I know Amanda Kloots has this, it's like spell your name and do a different move on each letter. And so I've been doing that and following along with her. So that's something else you could try.
Love her.
I know. No, hopefully sending our best to her husband and hoping that he'll be okay. But she's been such a great, she is an awesome person to follow, to just like feel inspired and to root for her as well.
Yeah. So I think everyone's doing great. Just do your best and give yourself grace. I see a lot of people who their races were canceled and they're bummed and they're not motivated. And, I say feel those feelings, but a little fresh air is good for everyone. And I love the Peloton app too. That's what I've been using to do.
Oh, nice.
They have a lot of like body weight strength. And the other day I did 20-minute yoga while my daughter was crawling underneath my down dog. And again, it's messy. It was not the yoga I'm used to because I had a person underneath me, but hey, it's good for core strength, I think. So win.
You're highly motivated to stay in the plank and not crush your daughter,
Exactly.
Good. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Allie. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, I am on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me. I'm Allie on the Run 1. The Allie on the Run Show podcast is my favorite thing that I get to do. It's available wherever you're listening to this one. It's available on all major podcast platforms. And my website is allieontherunblog.com. So a little bit of everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Allie. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you want to comment on today's episode, if you want to ask us a question, you can go to Colugo's Instagram, which is @HiColugo, and chat with us there. All right. Thanks so much, Allie.
Thank you for having me. You're doing great.
Thanks. Bye.
Our music was provided by Sound Planet. Our awesome producer is Aaron McGregor. I'm Christy from Colugo. We'll be back soon to share more about our adventures in parenting. Until then, remember, you got this.